Hey guys, this is Wilson Browner here for the Cisco Networkers Meetup Group, and today this morning I'm going to show you guys something that I want to finish up with the part 2 of the, and this thing keeps doing this, oh, there you go. I want to actually go show you guys today the, basically a slower walkthrough of the VPN point-to-point tunnel setup that we did during part 1. I was actually kind of rushed. I don't think I properly explained it to you guys for the guys who are watching it for the first time. So I want to kind of take about, some time here and just kind of go over the steps here and rebuild that tunnel from scratch so you guys can see it play by play. So anyway, a little bit of a bio about myself here. One of the more important things to take away from this page, my contact info is down here, guys. So got my email, Skype name, and best way to get in reach with me number-wise is text. Also, we have a couple meetups coming up, so hopefully if you guys see this recording in time, this Friday at 7:45, 7:30, we have a CCNA Security Part 2. So if I go to here's our meetup page over here. Friday, November 8th, we have Part 2, and then this Saturday on the 9th, we do have a CCNP study group. Luckily, one of the guys from the group volunteered to host this group, so a bunch of guys will be going over there in person to do a study group. So that should be pretty good. And that's it. Oh yeah. Anyway, so let me jump over to there's a video on this already, which real quick. We do have a YouTube page as well. So any of the meetups that are recorded, some of them are recorded, or some of these like mini videos that I'm doing, I'll post up on the YouTube page here, so you guys can see that. So, all right, so let's jump into the configuration here. So this is the setup that we had last week. So I have my personal ASA, my 5505 at home, and then I have one of the meetup members, Joshua, has his ASA set up here as well. So first things first, before you actually go ahead and set up the tunnel, what you're going to want to do is actually make sure that you can actually ping this IP to begin with. So I already pinged it already, but I'll do it one more time. So make sure you can ping it. If you get all bangs, that means you're good. So you don't want to go ahead and start configuring the tunnel when all of a sudden that wasn't really the the issue to begin with. So and one thing, I already have it configured on the other end, but let's just say we didn't have access to that ASA on the other side, which is sometimes the case in the production world. You got two companies who are trying to form a tunnel together, and in this case, they just gave us this information in an email, let's say, and you're basically going to have to configure your end of the tunnel with this information here. And if there's any kind of issues with this, you're going to have to go ahead and try to troubleshoot that. So, so here are the high-level view steps that we're going to have to do to create this tunnel. Note that I'm actually going to be using here code 8.3. So if you're running any, I think 8.3 came out like a few years ago. So newer ASAs will, I don't know why this thing keeps popping up. Newer ASAs have this code. I think right now I'm actually running code version 9. Yeah, I'm running version 9 right now. So if you have anything earlier than this, especially if it's in a lab environment, it's good to upgrade it. If not, I mean, there's a bunch of companies out there that still have the older code, but the same high-level points still apply. So it's not too much different. The command syntax is slightly different, but it still applies. So right now I have nothing. So if I do a show crypto ICCamp SA, which is your phase 1, right now I have nothing. There are no version 1, version 2 as security associations. So I got nothing going on right now. So first thing you want to do is define the local network and remote network using your object network command. So this is actually the syntax that you're going to be using. I'll put that in bold. And you want to do your nonat, which in the old syntax we actually had like a nonat or nat0 command. In the new 8.3 we don't have that nat0 command anymore. You do a translation, but you do a translation to the same thing. So you're doing that, but you're just translating it into the same exact the same thing. So we'll go ahead and do that. First, I'll do my show run object network. So I do have my inside subnet, so my 192.168.10.0.24/24. So if I go to my diagram, which you can see here, one of the servers on off the other end is a 192.168.20.10, and I should have put a /24, but that's a 24 network. So I want to create an object network with that subnet in there. So I'll call it JP-LAN, because that's the initials of the other guy's ASA. Subnet question mark, because I'm going to specify a range here, or a subnet. Oh yeah, you want to put the IP. You don't want to put the you don't put the network. You don't want to put an IP there. So that's that. So if you do show run object network, I can see here now that name or that object is defined here, which we're going to be using in a little bit. So you want to define that. And when I say here local network and remote network is the other end. So this is their end. Local network, I already have that object network defined. I just have mine called PC LAN. Okay, so we did that part. And we also want to do a no NAT statement. So new with the 8.3 code, I want to go back into my object network, JP LAN, and we're going to actually want to do, if I hit a question mark, you can see I also perform NAT in this container. So this object network container, I want to put NAT in here. So I'll do my regular inside outside, because that's the name of my inside and outside interfaces, question mark, and then I'll do source. So we'll specify the source parameters. I'll do static because I know exactly what range or subnet that I want to specify. And this is where my inside and outside object networks come into play. So I'm going to go back up here. I'll do PC LAN. That's my source. Okay, and what do you want to map it to? So I'm basically saying that map it to the same. I'm basically hitting it twice because I'm translating from 192.168.10.0 to, and then translate it to the same exact thing. So it's almost like you're doing no natting, but you're natting. Destination, where is this going to go? I only have one choice, static. And here I can put a interface, so I can specify the actual interface. This is almost like a PAT. You can notice that overload word there. But in this case, I want to specify that the other end, JP LAN, and I'll put that in there twice as well because source destination. And I think that should be it. Yeah, get the caret sign, and that's it. No net's done. Next up, I want to go ahead and create an ACL to permit, and I have in here permit IP traffic and ICMP traffic to the remote network. This is the access list that, if you guys remember from the old code, or have done site to sites before, this is the mirror access list that has to be the same on the other end, but just the mirror version. So I generally like to do IP and ICMP. ICMP so I can do some pings, and IP here so I can go ahead and do some, you know, my RDP session, or generally it's RDP session, whatever you want to do. So any other service that you want to put in here, you can add as well, but these are basically the two bare bones that I like to put in there for the access list. So for that, I'll go ahead and make an access list. What do I want to call it? I guess I'll call it JPV site. I'll put site to site VPN. I'll do an extended question mark. I'll do a permit. Okay, and here's a little bit of, I'm going to specify IP, and I also do want to put ICMP, but as you can see here, you could do OSPF, you could do TCP if you want to specify exact port numbers, but in my case, I just want to do, I'll put IP here, and then you could actually do here the object groups is like a group of attributes or services, but I don't think here you can do the object network, so I'm just going to go ahead and put in here the range. So if I'm sourcing it from my LAN 10.0, it's going to want an subnet mask. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in the destination. So if I start a ping from my local PC here, being on the 10.0 network, and if I ping the 20.0 network, which is the other side, I want this access list to trigger that VPN, or that interesting traffic. So I'm going to put in here the other side, subnet mask, and I could put a log in there, but I'm just going to hit enter. I'm going to do the same thing as well. I'm just going to hit the up arrow to repeat that command. And the only thing different I'm going to put in here is I'm going to change the service here to ICMP for my pings. And that's it. Cross that guy off. To verify that, you can do a show access list. So I can see here under this access list, I have 2 entries here. You can see line 1, line 2. This isn't good if you want to see the hit counts. So if you want to see if your access list is actually being used, you can see those little numbers go up. But if you want to see a cleaner config, you can do show run access list. And you can kind of see a little bit cleaner. So if you want to do like a copy and paste or something. All right, so that's done. All right, so this is where it starts to get a little new. So basically what we did past here is pretty simple, regular, stuff. Even if you're just using the iOS, you're probably familiar with. This is where it starts to get a little bit different. Granted, in the iOS, you could do this as well, but with 8.3, we have the option of using Ike version 1 or version 2, or you can use the old ISACamp. So for this, I'm just going to use version 1. So I'm going to go ahead and create a policy, which policy is basically just like a bunch of attributes that I use to actually say I'm going to use this encryption, this group, this lifetime, to actually set up that tunnel, or that first tunnel that comes up. So for that, I'm going to go into my config mode, crypto question mark, and you can see here I can use version 1, version 2 to set up that tunnel, the first tunnel, or I can use the old ISACamp here. But in my case, I'm going to say we'll do version 1. Okay. Policy, because this is going to be the first policy that I have here. I actually want to set that list of attributes, and I'm just going to call it 10. You can use any number you want here. I believe if you have multiple policies defined, ASA starts with the lowest number or lowest policy and works its way up until it finds a match. But in this case, I only have 1, so I'm just going to keep it at 10. So this is something that actually that Keith Barker actually mentioned to me a while ago when I was asking about VPN tunnels. So I'm going to bring my notepad here. So he says whenever you do like the phase 1 tunnel, you can think of Haggle as, because it's kind of confusing when you first do this. And one of the nice reasons I'm doing this video is, 1, it's reinforcing for me, but number 2, for you guys, even if you've done just like anything else in IT, just repeat it over and over and over again, and it just sticks after a while. But the nice thing with this is you can kind of see here authentication, encryption, group, hash, lifetime. I can eyeball it right now. I know exactly what I need. But if you're learning this for the first time, it's a good little, a good little trick you can use to memorize what you need to set up that phase 1. So for hash, H is hash, A is authentication, and I'll make this a little bigger so you guys can see that. G is group, L is lifetime, and E is encryption. So there's no order that you have to actually put this in. It can be put in any order. I think actually the ASA reorganizes it for you no matter what order you pop it in. So I'm actually going to put in there in that order. So here I can say the hash. And this is stuff that also has to match on the other side of the ASA. So you can't just put in random hashes and hope that the tunnel comes up. If you do, you can try to do some debug commands and it won't pop up properly. So on the other side here, I have here already a list of what the other side is using. So I'll put this, doesn't really, I'll put this here so I can try to have everything in one window. Yeah, that should work. Okay, so the hash, the other side is saying that they're using SHA. So I'll put SHA. A, authentication, I'll do a question mark. I can see. And that's actually another good thing here. When you do a question mark for A, you get a bunch of different options. The ASA is kind of granular when it comes to this. So don't like eyeball the bottom exactly. You want to make sure you can read it from the top to bottom. This is something a little bit different from the iOS. So I do want to do authentication. Question mark, what options does it give me? I want to do a pre-shared key. So this is where I'm going to go and later in my, I think it's a tunnel group, I eyeball it, but in there I'm going to put in there what the key is, or it's almost like a password between two different devices to bring up the tunnel. So I was saying that I'm going to be using a pre-share key. Next group, you have 1, 2, 5, 7. Looks like 7 is already deprecated. In this case, the other side is using 2, so I'll put 2. Lifetime. Now, the other side did not give me a lifetime. I mean, I know what it is, but I'm not. I'm just saying that the other side didn't give me a lifetime. So we can randomly. I think 84. What was it? 864 is usually the general lifetime in seconds. But let's say we didn't know what it was. I'll put like 3600. The tunnel should still work. So I'm just gonna keep that in the back of my mind. If it doesn't come up, we'll have that to match. But I just want to test it out. And encryption. What kind of encryption do we want to do for the first tunnel? Here I'm seeing encryption is also SHA, so I'll keep that there. SHA? Yeah, there's no SHA here. Okay, I know what it is, AES. I mistyped that. So AES, which is actually the best of, well, if you want to do the best, you should probably do 256, but we'll keep it regular, 128 AES. And that's it. So if I do a show run crypto, you can see here, and as you guys just saw, it just automatically organized it for me, even though I didn't put it in the right order. So there's my policy 10, authentications pre-shared, encryptions AES, hash SHA group 2, and lifetime 3600 seconds. Okay, and one thing that you also want to do as well. Crypto ICAV1 policy enable. So you actually want to turn this or apply this policy map to an interface. So in my case, I want to put it on the outside because that's where my traffic is being, my tunnel is being formed. So I'll put it outside. So you want to go ahead and apply that crypto policy to an interface. And that is it for that part. So went ahead and created that policy and enabled it or applied it to an interface. So that piece is done. Okay, I think I can get rid of this. I'll minimize it. Okay, so that piece is done. So next we want to go ahead and put the transform set. This is where we're going to be specifying the hashing and the encryption. So I'll go ahead and set that up. So for that, I'm going to make the tunnel group. Yeah, tunnel group. And you could actually set up a name for this. Now, I would say 9 times out of 10, people just put as a name the IP address of the other end. So this way, you don't, when you eyeball it, you don't get confused who's who. So I'll put 47. 319, that's going to be inside the other end. And here, it's just, you put IPsec attributes. No other choices. So then you go ahead in the tunnel mode for this. Okay. So here, I'm going to go ahead also, this is where I'm going to specify my pre-shared key. So we say we were using IKE version 1, we'll put that there. Pre-shared key. So this is where I'm actually going to go ahead and type in my password. And we said from the other side, the pre-shared key was Cisco 123. Cisco 123. Hit that in there. I believe that should be it. chain key. I don't think there's anything else I can. Just, yeah, no, we don't have to put that in there. Okay. You can verify that. You can do show run tunnel. So you can see this is the information here for that tunnel group. So that we have in here. Notice that after I put in my password, it comes out like little asterisks. You can't see it. So this is one thing that you want to make note of if you do a copy and paste, or if you try to do a backup of a show run. Make sure you write this pre-shared key down. This is especially important, really important in the real world, because there's times where a pre-shared key is written down and somebody leaves the company and they forget what it is, and you know, then you're sitting there troubleshooting because nobody, you know, the config is correct, but the only problem is that nobody knows what the pre-shared key is anymore. So I believe there's actually a command, and I couldn't Google it real quick. There's a command that you can actually show that pre-shared key. You can get rid of the asterisks. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I'm sure people who are watching this who know what it is probably yelling it out right now that I know what the command is, but let me see here. I think it was a faster way to do. Was it this one? I think it was this one. More, in order to recover the pre-shared key in the VPN configuration, issue the more command. This sounds familiar. I think this is it. All right, so let's go down to the tunnel group. It's towards the bottom. Yeah, so if you do this, you can see here, you can see what the more system run command will show you what the pre-shared key is. So that's that command down there. That saved me one time in the field. Nobody knew what the pre-shared key was and had to find that command. Okay. Go back to my list here. Well, actually, I did it backwards. So I did the tunnel group. That part was done. The transform set, they were both T's. Transform set. So we actually want to go ahead and specify and this is where I said the hashing and encryption. So this will be another crypto command. And as you can see here, crypto seems to be the thing when it comes to the VPNs. IPsec, because technically your second tunnel in the VPN is an IPsec tunnel. IKE version 1. Transform set, so here's that command. Hit question mark, and I can give this a name. So generally we just give it the name of whatever the encryption is. So let's see, ESP AES SHA, because if I go back to my encryption here, ESP AES SHA. So this is the actual, I believe the first one's the encryption and the second is the hashing, I believe. So these are the two encryption and hashing that we do for this. So I'll hit a question mark. Yeah, the first one's encryption. So ESP AES, this is the encryption, question mark. And no, this is also encryption too. I believe the second one's hashing. I gotta double check on that. ESP SHA HMAC. Okay, and this is also too this part of the transform set. When you actually do an inter-vendor operability. So when you got, like, for example, like a Cisco and a Juniper trying to talk to each other, this is the let me show you even better to you guys. So show run crypto. These parameters here, you'll have to play with, and it's sometimes like a trial and error. You just have to try different options because the Juniper sometimes calls it a little bit different than the Cisco or whatever other vendor that you have for the firewall. And same thing for the transform set. So sometimes this part, you're going to have to play around a little bit with the commands in order to get that tunnel working. But luckily, since in this case, we're doing to Cisco, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so that piece is done. Okay, so almost done here. So next piece, we're going to create that crypto map, which is the way that I go ahead and basically kind of tie all these other, like, because right now all we've been doing is just creating these different attributes or these different commands, and they're just kind of sitting in islands and not doing anything. So this command helps bridge most of these commands together. So let's go ahead and do that. CryptoMap question mark. We're going to give it a name. I'll call it JP VPN. Let's make more descriptive. JP VPN map. The sequence, so I'll just call it 1, the first one. So now I'm going to start matching a couple of the other commands that we had earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and match address. So this is my access list that I made earlier, which, what did I call it? JP site-to-site VPN. Pop that in there. No other options, so I'll hit enter. Okay, next we're going to do, we don't have no more matches, so I'll do set. Peer, so this is actually going to be the other side of the IP of the other end. And the actual IP, so we said it was 47.233.19. Okay, we could probably put in there a couple more IPs, but in this case I don't need to. And then finally, just hit the upper arrow. What else I have here? ICAF version 1, and I'm gonna tie the transform set into here. And I think I call it ESP. Yeah, so there's a lot of backtracking here, so sometimes it might be easier to write some of this down. Here we go. This guy right here, the name of that transform set. It's done. So we tied in, let's do a show run crypto map. So I tied in here the access list that we made earlier. So the access list I'm tying into it. The peer, so I'm not really tying that into anywhere over here. And the transform set, which is in essence almost kind of like the tunnel group and the these two guys I'm tying together into this group here. The policy map that we had here, it's as I mentioned, it's I want to say it's a top to bottom. If you have multiple policies in there, it goes down a list and tries to find one, I believe. But then again, we tie it to an interface, so you can only have one policy in use at a time. But so that's that. The policy map is actually applied to the interface, and the crypto map ties the rest of the pieces together. Okay, and we also want to enable it. So JP VPN map question mark. We're going to enable it on an interface, and I'll put it on my outside interface. So the same thing like the crypto policy or the crypto ICAV policy, you want to apply to your outside interface, since this is where you're going to be starting that tunnel up. Okay, so that piece is done. And I think that should be it. So you can a couple of verification commands we could do for this, or troubleshooting commands. You can do show run crypto, which shows you all the crypto commands. These are more helpful in terms of troubleshooting once the tunnel is up. You can, and I'll show you guys this in a second. Show run tunnel, which this probably should be more up here. That probably makes a little more sense having it up there. This is to show your tunnel group. So if I do show run crypto, you can see, instead of doing a show run and looking for everything, you can kind of see everything in one shot here. You can see here the transform set we're using. You can see the crypto map information here. You can see that's applied to the outside interface. You can see the crypto policy information here. The tunnel group isn't really shown here though, so you have to actually specify that. Show run tunnel. And here's the tunnel interface with a pre-shared key applied to it, and that's pretty much it. So I can do, it's funny, you can actually do this, or you can do, you can replace this with the ICAV version 1 SA, and pretty much does the same job. So I do show crypto, you can do ISA camp or ICAV 1, it's the same thing, as far as I can see. And we see here there's nothing's up right now. So reason is because there's nothing being triggered on that ACL to actually bring this tunnel up. So if I go ahead and try to ping something from my 10 network, and this is that server that we had in that picture earlier on the other side. Usually the first ping or two fails, and now we see that tunnel up because according to the ASA, I saw that interesting traffic come through one of my interfaces. Tunnel comes up. So now if I do that again, I can see here I have one active security association. I have one peer. It's a L2L. I forget what that means exactly. The state, it's inactive. After a while, this goes into like inactive, and it times out after a while. So one good thing here, and this is something that actually Joachim from the meetup group mentioned to me, lifetime does not have to match. That's what I want to test out. This doesn't exactly have to match exactly, but these other attributes have to. So this was actually 8640 but as we saw earlier, I had 3600. So lifetime does not need to match. So that's something good to know. Next, we could do IPsec SA, and you can, I'll full screen this. You can see here a lot more information, more detailed information about that second tunnel. So here I can see the crypto map that I'm using to bring this tunnel up. I can see the access list that's being used to actually trigger this traffic, and I can see here the packets that are being used, or the packets that are going through that tunnel. Down here you can see the transform set that I'm using. There's no compression happening. Inbound, outbound. So if I do a ping again, I should see these packets increase. And I do. Now I see them at 7. Okay, and that is it. So that's basically what we did in part 1. I can see here the video is taking almost a little over 30 minutes. So I did want to go over with you guys the process in a slow-mo version since we rushed it the first time around. Any questions that you guys may have, as I mentioned, definitely reach out to me. My contact information is down there. And I hope to see you guys at a future meetup. All right, take care, guys. Bye.